Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Brother Denzel Washington, and I'm the Director of Education for the Theta Iota Lambda chapter of Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated. Welcome to the 12th annual Senator Edward W. Brooke III Oratorical Scholarship Competition. Today, our contestants will be answering this year's theme, I'm conflicted. In what ways has the pandemic affected today's society? The last time we met was April 13th of 2019. It's been 3 years since we've been able to do this, and I must say that it is an honor to be here before you today. Thank you to the brothers of the chapter, the Revels Foundation of Mentoring and Scholarship, and the community for assisting and making this all possible. I want to give a special thank you to Reverend W.C. Watson, Jr., and the congregation for allowing us to be in the church today. Before we begin, I would like to take this time to acknowledge and congratulate the newest initiates of the Theta Iota Lambda chapter. Mr. Casey Davis and Mr. Kevin Jeffries, please stand. Thank you. Today, we will hear from 5 gentlemen who have worked extremely hard over the last couple of months to compose their speeches. They've been a part of multiple workshops, the importance of education, public speaking, and simply just practicing, along with going through the daily rigors of life. I would love to give a special thank you to Attorney Clarissa Wright, Dr. Frank Robinson, and Brother Cash for leading those workshops. These gentlemen have been consistent, resilient, and nothing short of amazing, and I'm glad that you all will be able to witness that today. With that, I would like to introduce our MCs for the evening, Brother William Strother Sr., Spring 94 Initiate of the Theta Iota Lambda chapter, former President of the Foundation, along with holding multiple positions within the chapter, including being the President, and Mrs. Strother, who's the minister of this very church, along with being the current president of the Springfield Alum Chapter of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated. But before we get going, I would like to introduce Brother Marcus McCullough as he leads invocation. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. Please join me in a word of prayer and assume whatever posture is appropriate to you. Great and Holy One, we gather on this auspicious occasion, grateful to be here after a few years away. We acknowledge and appreciate all of your great gifts with us this afternoon, and we certainly appreciate these young orators and their families. We ask a special blessing upon this moment, that it would be one we would cherish, a moment that we would learn from, a moment from which we would grow. Be amongst us to receive what we need from these young men and to be stronger together as a community. We ask your blessing upon this event, certainly your blessing upon this congregation and its pastor, and we invite your holy presence. All of this we pray in the blessed name of God and all that we hold dear. Amen.
Well, good afternoon. Oh, no, I don't think you heard me. Good afternoon. Hallelujah, that's better. Yes. I don't know about you, but I'm kind of excited. I got a preview of some of these young men, and I'm really excited to hear their finished product. So I can't wait to get going. So I'm going to be the cheerleader in the corner, clapping guys thumbs up and high fives, so if I'm bouncing around, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. So you've heard that I am emceeing with my husband. I'm kind of worried about that because whenever he gets the mic, he kind of says some things that are out of the ordinary, but you know, we don't work with him. I was already introduced. Okay. I was. I love the introduction that I got. I am a woman after God's own heart. I believe in everything that the Lord teaches us. And I especially believe in promoting and uplifting our youth. So that's why I'm here. I'm here to uplift our youth. So why are you here?
I am here because they asked me. And as you can see, I married right. So after 16 years, I know who the better half is, so that's why she started this song. And you are absolutely right. I am the one that says some things that might not be right, but she's always there to make sure I'm going to do it right. I am excited as well. I am excited because I've actually had an opportunity over these last few weeks to actually hear some of these speeches. I've had an opportunity to see the work of some of these young men, and I am really, truly excited to hear what their vision, their look upon this thing that we actually went through. I know we went through this pandemic. I know we were kind of, well, we're stuck in a house, so on and so forth. But to hear it from their lens, I think you're in for a treat. So I will say we will just, I think we should just get started.
All right, let's move on to the introduction of our judges, and then the contestant rules. Huh? Okay, all right. So you want me to go down the list? Okay, I'm following instructions. So the first one is my very own pastor, the Reverend Dr. W.C. Watson Jr. He is the senior pastor of Canaan Baptist Church of Christ since 1994. As pastor, he has made the commitment to developing strong ministries within the church, strengthening families, and promoting community outreach. He is married to the very lovely Dr. Annie Watson, and he is the father of 2 daughters, Pearl Marie and Alicia.
We also have, not this point when you read it. We have Ms. Zelma Johnson. Zelma Johnson is a licensed social worker at Bay State Health. Z's commitment to the community consists of owning Olive Tree Books and Voices, a local bookstore in Springfield, Mass., serving as the chair. She is a board member of the Multicultural Community Service. She is a board member of HM Huntington and being a member of the Massachusetts State Alzheimer's Council. Wow, she's done a whole bunch of work. She is a recipient of the 2010 Ubora Springfield Museum Award and the 2020 MLK Junior Family Services Social Award for entrepreneurs. She holds a bachelor's degree from Morgan State University and a master's degree in business education.
Good.
First one.
No, that's not.
Oh, okay. I'm going to follow you.
We are going to have 2 more judges introduced, and then we'll do our musical selection. So the next judge is Dr. Norm Jones, PhD. He is the president and CEO of Integrated Diversity, LLC, and Strategic Solutions Group International, LLC. He works with the leaders to ensure the substantial sustainability of organizational systems by using the lens of equality and justice. A nationally recognized leader in higher education and organization development, Dr. Jones has served in many educational leadership roles and is currently serving a 1-year appointment as the interim chief diversity officer at Hayward College. And he is also a member of Omega Psi Phi Fraternity and Beta Sigma Boule.
All that being said, we're going to do a quick little alteration. I started the way after this one. Our next one is Brother John Revels II. Brother John Revels is the assistant principal, high school in Stamford, Connecticut. Mr. Revels takes great pride in being a transformative leader, focus on equality, proactive social, emotional strategies, and restorative practices. He's earned an administrative certificate at Quinnipiac University, a master's degree of counseling education at UMass, and education, a specialty degree in leadership administration at UMass as well at Amherst, and a bachelor's degree in African American Studies at Morehouse College. Yeah. There's always one in the crowd. Last year, Brother Ramos founded a facility of men of color leadership group, MOCA, at the university. This group provides students of color a safe place to discuss issues that are important to them and provide opportunities of community service. Brother Ramos was initiated, and this is why I skipped ahead a little bit. Brother was initiated at his very own chapter of Theta, Lambda chapter on November 8th, 2013. He served as the director of education of the Zeta Lambda chapter in Fairfield, Connecticut for the past 8 years, and has been the educational director of the Greater New England chapter of Alpha Pi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated for the last 3 years. We cannot start off with an Omega and not end with an Alpha.
I did that. I'm following directions and reading the Bibles. So next we have City Councilor Del Marina Lopez Esquire. This is a first-generation college graduate and the first in her entire family to obtain a doctoral level degree. That in itself deserves an applause. Ms. Lopez is an Afro-Latina attorney born and raised in the East Coast of Puerto Rico. She holds a Bachelor of Science in Criminal Justice from Bay Path University and a Juris Doctor from the Western New England University School of Law. Lopez currently serves as a city councilor in the city of Chicopee, Mass., representing Ward 3 in Willimantic, where she grew up and resides. She is the first person of color to ever be selected and elected to city council in the city, and one of the less than a dozen women to ever sit on the council. Lopez is a licensed attorney in the state of Connecticut. Lopez is also an adjunct professor at Bay Path University and serves on the board of directors for the YWCA of Western Mass. She is also a member of Zeta Phi Beta Sorority Incorporated.
I got you. And rounding out this fantastic group of judges, and again, I told them earlier, I am thankful that they're here. I am so thankful that I'm not sitting in their chairs. Dr. Frank Robinson, Frank Robinson, PhD, is the Vice President of Public Health of Bay Path Health. In his role, Dr. Robinson is responsible for integrating clinical and community care to better serve vulnerable people and populations across the spectrum of diversity and create healthier communities. Dr. Robinson has led many of the Bay Path community benefits contributing to the Springfield population, in particular public education through the establishment of the Bay State Springfield Education Partnership and the founding of the Bay State Academy Charter Public School. With over 40 years of public service at the nonprofit experience, Dr. Robinson has spent his career working to build healthier communities. Dr. Robinson has earned a PhD in public health, community health education from the University of Massachusetts Amherst, his Master's of Arts in Community Psychological at Mansfield University in Pennsylvania, and has a bachelor's degree of psychology from the University of New York.
All right, let's give a round of applause for our by vocalist Alana Alston and our musician, Dr. Brooke.
Good afternoon. I'm Alana. I'm going to be singing a few selections for you all throughout the program. We're going to start with Lift Every Voice and Sing. It is in your program and I encourage you to sing with me. Lift every voice and sing till earth and heaven ring. Ring with the harmonies of liberty. Let our rejoicing rise high as the listening skies. Let it resound loud as the rolling sea. Sing a song full of the facing the rising sun of our new day begun. Let us march on till victory is won. Stony the road we trod, bitter the chastening rod, felt in the days when hope unborn had died, yet with the steady beat had not our weary feet come to the place for which our fathers sighed. We have come over a way that with tears has been watered. We have come treading our path through the blood of the slaughtered. Out from the gloomy past, till now we stand at last, where the white gleam of our bright star is cast. God of our weary years, God of our silent tears, Thou who hast brought us thus far on
So now we're gonna go ahead and get started. Our contestants were randomly picking numbers just before we got started. And our first orator is Arnold Moore. So Arnold Moore is a senior at Agawam High School. His mentor was Brother Nathaniel Washington. His parents are Dr. Paula Starnes and Arnold Moore. His career goals: communication and education, extracurricular activities, wrestling, and he's currently a peer mediator for Agawam High School. Let's welcome him in.
Good afternoon. First off, I want to give thanks to God for this opportunity to be here amongst all of you guys today, as well as Brother Lee, wherever he is. Thank you for recognizing me and letting me do this today. Also to my mentor, Nathan, really appreciate you helping me out, put this together, same as my parents and anybody else that's helped me out. I'm going to talk to you guys about an experience that each and every one of us have had. Isolation, quarantine. In the year 2020, the world was threatened by a heinous, horrendous, horrible virus known as COVID-19, or the coronavirus. COVID-19 was a virus that attacked people's lungs, caused multiple other health issues, which could have resulted in death. Because of this, in the year 2020, the nation had to undergo a nationwide quarantine that affected the lives of millions of people. It affected jobs, it affected people's mental health, relationships, and the list goes on. One of the main things that quarantine and COVID-19 affected was the way that we socialize, our everyday human interactions, whether we notice them or not. Isolation. If you were to ask me 4 years ago how I would feel about being able to stay home every day and play video games, kind of sleep in, all that stuff, go to school online, I'd be like, heck yeah, that's awesome. I wouldn't second guess it. I'd be wicked happy, borderline ecstatic. But the reality is not that great. I began in the isolation, quarantine. We were told that we were going to be out of school for 2 weeks. 2 weeks, okay, I can deal with that. That's a winter break. That's awesome. I can stay home, do whatever I want. Those feelings of excitement, happiness, all of that quickly turned to worry. The dates started to get extended. 2 weeks turned 4 weeks, turned 2 months, turned 6 months, and so on. That worry turned to fear. Was I ever going to be able to live my normal life, wrestle with my friends, go to the movies, Six Flags, vacations, all that stuff like that? Was it taken away from me forever? All of that, those questions were in my head every single day. After feeling scared, it became normalized. So some people may say, well, quarantine could have been a good thing. If you're living with family, it brings people together. I mean, you can live in a house with siblings and your parents, uncles, grandparents, whoever, and still not know much about those people, which is 100% true, but still can cause issues. For me, it was great in the beginning. I live with my mother, an amazing woman, one of the hardest working women I know. She was getting her PhD, and she was a very hardworking woman, and with my schedule with school, sports, work, we didn't get to connect all the time. So this quarantine was a way for me and her to spend more time with each other. that you don't really know too well, but you guys have a class together, you wave, small friendships like that, I was missing. It made me feel hopeless, unmotivated. I began to go into a depressive state. It was harder and harder to go to school online every day. My grades began to slip. Motivations were tough. I ate more out of boredom. My entire life flipped upside down. Some people may think when the quarantine was lifted, everything went away. And if you were to ask me years ago, before all this happened, I would think the same thing. But that was not the case at all. When the quarantine was lifted, yes, we did get to see people again and be back into normalized environments like school, sports, hanging out with friends and different family. But anxiety kind of crept in. I'd see myself going to the store and being nervous to be around so many people because I haven't seen them. I haven't been around so many people like that in months, close to a year. It became nerve-wracking to hang out with my friends in person because things are going through my head. Oh my God, what if I gained weight? What if I look completely different? What if this isn't, what if I'm not the same? What if we don't connect the same way? I became scared. All after those emotions kind of settled in and I kind of was able to get back to normal. It also affected younger siblings of mine, and I've noticed it in the younger generation. Some kids were in first grade, COVID hit. When they came back, they were in third grade. Things like that are huge. When you were in elementary school, social interactions and learning in person is a major thing. If that is taken away from you, that could really mess up your future. I understand you were able to go on school online, but as some of the people in the audience know that did do school online or things online, was not the same. You could turn on the TV, turn yourself on mute, not pay attention at all, and some of us have done that in the past, but COVID affected a lot of us. And even though some of us it has different effects on all of us, it was a tough thing. And I'm glad that I got to share my experience with the rest of you guys. Thank you.
Fantastic. Thank you, Mr. Moore. Our second contestant is his name is Monty Naylor Jr. Come on. Those days have swiftly passed. Monty is a freshman at Roger Putnam Vocational Technical Academy. His mentor is Brother Eddie Lee, and our own new brother, Brother Casey Davis. His parents are Pastor Monty Naylor Sr. and evangelist Latona Naylor. Monty's career goal is to be an Air Force pilot. His extracurricular activities are playing soccer, football, basketball, baseball, and I will tell you as a teacher at Putnam, he's a very marvelous student. So good job. Good job. Anytime you're ready.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I would like to give honor to God who brought this day for me. And I would like to thank the men of the Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated for making this contest possible. Today I'll be talking to you about the past 2 years, about how we all have something in common with that person that is seated right in front of you, right behind you, or right beside you. Everyone here has had to live through an international pandemic, an international panic that went by the name of COVID-19. I cannot speak for everybody here, but I personally started taking this global issue as a joke until it affected me personally. In my life, this pandemic has impacted 3 important areas, and that was my education and learning, my Christmas, which is one of the most joyful times of my year, and it has affected my mental health, strength, and fortitude. This pandemic has affected me, and it surely was not for the better. At least I thought so. To begin, I'll be expanding on how this global pandemic has impacted my education, my learning, and my future. While the pandemic started off fun and exciting, since we had no school, we weren't obligated to go anywhere or do anything, and we could just lay around all day, do a few assignments, playing your game, something that is highly not recommended to do. It was all fun and games, and that was until time quickly passed by, and I was in the 7th grade. A new year, new school, a new learning environment, and a new learning system due to the online learning. I was struggling and caught off guard when I realized how in actuality, it was tedious to have to learn this way. It was a new blockade, a new challenge for me, not the good type of struggle either. People who want to grow and get better always look for a challenge or a challenger that helps them go to new heights and new levels. But this challenge was what seemed to be, rather than helping me, it was a debuff, which means it would weigh me down, restraining me. And I know I wasn't the only one to feel this way, because more than 2 out of 5 students, 44%, had felt persistent sadness or hopelessness that caused them to stop doing some usual activities. This statistic from an article on CNN.com just proves how this pandemic has caused stress among students and how it made students feel and how their new situation held them back from their activities and their learning. In fall 2019, 66% of the group enrolled in public schools. Now in the fall 2020, that number dropped to 55%. A statistic from USA.org proving that the group enrolled in public schools dropped a full 11% in just the course of a year. These numbers are just, wow. At the end of, not at the end of the pandemic, but as I got through the pandemic, I ended up getting through online learning with grades that got me second honors. But the struggle for others, just as it was proven, it was in a whole different category, a whole new beast in the path that we had to get through. In the process of getting through, we had to evade the beast. We had to hold off the beast instead of facing it headstrong. I myself was fortunate enough to be able to dodge the beast by the name of COVID-19, a boss battle that was evaded. At least that's what I thought at the time. Then we fast forward to the midpoint of the next school year. We are back in the building. We are learning as normal. The only difference between then and before COVID-19 was that now we must wear masks in school. Everything is much better. I'm in the first honors classes of my education. I'm enjoying myself and I'm all happy because the most joyful time of my year is coming up. It's Christmas. The time of year where we spend with our family, bonding, having fun, and just making good memories over that week off school. But not this year for me. Do you want to know why? Guess what? I got COVID. I didn't evade it as well as I thought I had because it came and attacked me. I caught the virus. I had gotten lucky that it was just the asymptomatic version of the virus, so I wasn't all that miserable from being sick. I was miserable from the fact that I couldn't bond with my family during this time of the year. On Christmas Day, I had to wear those doctor gloves and a mask to come out of my room so I would be able to open my presents with my family. I finished opening my presents happy to be unconfined from my room finally, but then I had to go right back to my room afterwards. I had to have my Christmas meal delivered to my door. The ham, the mac and cheese, the collard greens, the cornbread, deliciously made by my mother and sister. The food was delectable. And while normally I would love that king treatment to have my family deliver my food to me, I don't have to get up. Who wouldn't want that? But I didn't have the option to spend time and make memories with my family. I did not even have the option to be out there with my family. I was missing a souvenir of my childhood due to this sickness, this virus. At the beginning, I mentioned 3 things. My education, the most joyful time of the year, which is Christmas. Do you remember the 3rd thing that I mentioned? It was my mental fortitude. The strength and the health of my mentality. I take a whole lot of pride in my brain power. As a heavy extrovert, someone who absolutely hates being alone and in seclusion, I was scared for what might happen to the well-being of my mentality. I feared what might happen because of my energy needs someone to bounce off and merge with. But throughout the pandemic, while I was confined, all my energy had to bounce off was the walls of my house and the grocery store. Findings from the new CDC survey suggest youth mental health was even worse during the pandemic. Overall, more than a third, 37% of high school students in the United States experienced poor mental health, at least most of the time during the COVID-19 pandemic. Throughout this pandemic, my mentality, along with many others, as proven in the research from CNN.com, was dragged through the mud, tossed around because COVID was trying to crush it. But we made it through. Hardship, adversity, and even failure can lead to bigger success if you show courage, persevere, and work hard to reach your dreams. A quote from Sidor.com, in researching this, I guess it ended up helping my mentality, making me stronger, reinforcing my brain power, and what I have at my disposal to get through miscellaneous challenges. I had a breakthrough to newfound strength going to COVID-19 as a piece of coal, but I became a diamond through the pressure. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mike. So, this gives us an opportunity just for a quick little conversation, because how many of you have actually, this whole thing, you can connect to this pandemic, this is what they're feeling. But hearing it from their perspective is just a different look. As a teacher, I had the opportunity to meet all my ninth graders, and this year, for the first year, I'm meeting ninth graders. I always ask the question, so what school did you come from? You know, they'll give me all the schools in the area. And now I'm hearing online. I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, they spent their entire middle school online. Just think about that for a second. No interaction with people for almost 3 years. So that, for me, it's a different perspective. It's definitely a different look. And I tell them, you know, you're gonna appreciate this as, you know, what our parents used to tell us. You're gonna appreciate this at some time later on down the road. And they look at me strange. I got a bunch of dad jokes too. Like my wife's looking at me funny right now. I would be remiss if I did not acknowledge two people. Two people that were instrumental in making this program happen. Two folks that, I'll go for it. One is Brother Cedric McClendon. Brother Cedric McClendon is gone out. I think he's in San Francisco right now. But he was one of the founders of this, of us doing the Oratorical, and was a major contributor to us moving forward and pushing us. The other gentleman, who was very instrumental in this, and really pushed this forward, and really pushed us, is Brother Ron D. Johnson. Brother Johnson made sure that we got this on time. Brother Johnson made sure we had meetings that were done on time. He was very serious about making sure we had a quick meeting. We can't have these long, drawn out meetings. We want to make sure we get done. And making sure things were done on time, in time, that we could present this. So I would feel remiss if we just did not give homage to those two brothers who were just, they made this happen.
So now we will present our third orator, Miles Ellison Jeffries. Come on up. Miles is a sophomore at Amherst Regional High School. His mentor is Brother James Light. His parents are Mr. Kevin Jeffries and Dr. Anika Henderson. His career goal, forensic science, extracurricular activities, plays on the basketball team and varsity tennis team. He loves listening to music, especially Nothing Was the Same by Drake. This is Miles.
Good afternoon. My name is Miles Ellison Jeffries, and I want to thank the Theta Iota Lambda chapter of Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated for organizing this competition. Secondly, I want to thank all of you beautiful and intelligent people in the room for your presence. Inspired by the distinguished and profound philosopher Aubrey Graham, also known as Drake, the title of my speech is Nothing Was the Same: Exercising Your Right to Good Health. And I want to begin my speech with a question for all of you. Could you please raise your hand if you feel that the pandemic has negatively affected you? Now, as you all see, the pandemic has had negative effect, and these effects have been felt in Western Massachusetts and around the world. Weight gain and decreased mental health are two of the biggest negative effects that have been felt, and these two things have something in common. Many of you probably know that exercise is great for your body, but exercise also leads to stronger mental health and lower rates of mental illness. Due to the increase in weight gain and mental illness that the pandemic has ushered in, it is imperative that America exercise now more than ever. For as the great Mahatma Gandhi explains, it is health that is real wealth, not pieces of gold or silver. During the pandemic, we had a lengthy period of social isolation where we were stressed out and cooped up in our homes. We'll come back to that stress part later. It was more difficult to exercise and easier to snack. I myself have an on and off toxic relationship with Oreos, which stems from the pandemic. This decrease in diet quality and exercise resulted in upwards of a third of Americans reporting weight gain, with men gaining more than women. America was and still is now less healthy. People who are already overweight before the pandemic are at even more risk to have gained weight during the pandemic. Decreased access to exercise, among other factors, caused weight gain. This has a deep impact because people who are obese are 3 times more likely to be hospitalized from COVID. We need to exercise now because this weight gain increases risk for high blood pressure, high cholesterol, type 2 diabetes, stroke, and cancer, to name a few, and the risk for every single one of these things decreases with regular exercise. Now, back to stress. Regular exercise can also reduce your levels of stress. Many of us are facing challenges that can be stressful and overwhelming due to the pandemic. I am sure that all of you can think of at least one. The pandemic saw a 25% increase in anxiety and depression, and many felt that their existing anxiety and depression symptoms were worsened by the pandemic. Stress causes weight gain, especially when paired with a lack of exercise. Meanwhile, exercise lowers stress levels, decreases anxiety and depression symptoms, and reduces weight gain. Exercise is a triple threat. With mental illness on the rise, we need to implement exercise into our daily routines so that we can be happier, healthier people in a post-pandemic world. Exercise is important for all, but is especially critical for some communities. According to the research study entitled Bridging the Gaps, Racial Health Inequalities for Black Men in Hampden County, published by Baystate Health, quote, since the late 1800s, black men have had the lowest life expectancy of all people in the US, end quote. We must exercise healthy behaviors among black people because of the structural and systemic inequities that black people face, especially black men. Bridging the Gaps explains that black men need to, quote, develop new coping strategies for dealing with stress that replace the negative physical and emotional effects of alcohol, tobacco, and other substance use, which are often used to deal with stress, end quote. I am someone who frequently uses the gym as a stress reliever, and it does a great deal to help me be a high-performance student and athlete. One of my pre-test rituals is to wake up at 5:30 in the morning to go to the gym on any morning that I have an exam, which may seem unimaginable to some who are more morning averse, but exercise takes different forms for different people, and what is important is that you find a time that works for you to exercise each day. In conclusion, nothing has been the same since the pandemic began in 2020. It caused a significant portion of Americans to gain weight and suffer from mental health issues, which deepened the disparities that black people and black men in particular face. As we all know, our time on this earth is limited. So now that you have heard me explain how exercise can powerfully impact your life, I hope you will use your time to be the best person that you can be. As the activist Nelson Mandela expressed, exercise is the key not only to physical health, but to peace of mind. I encourage you to exercise your right to good health. Thank you.
Now can you see why I was excited? They have something to say and we need to listen to it. So now we will have another musical selection.
I'm so blessed, hallelujah, I'm blessed, I'm so blessed, hallelujah, I'm blessed. Trouble knocking at my door today, I'm not gonna let it in. Worry wanna steal my joy away, I'm not gonna let it win. Cause on my best day, I'm a child of God, and on my worst day, I'm a child of God. Oh, every day is a good day, and you're the reason why I'm so blessed, I'm so blessed. Got this heartbeat in my chest. No, it doesn't matter about the rest. If I got you, Lord, I'm so blessed, I'm so blessed. Hallelujah, I'm blessed, I'm so blessed. And when I
So, you know, we have to apologize. We apologize. One, we missed one of our judges. We missed one of our judges, absolutely. And he is a friend of mine, and I apologize. And this has nothing to do with the fact that he's a member of Omega Psi Phi.
They missed the Theta and now this. I think it's all churches. It's great.
This is divine guidance. Don't worry about it. We'll get back to it. Don't worry about it. Errol Green Jr. Graduated from the University of Massachusetts Amherst with a bachelor's degree in economics, along with a master's in math education from AIC. He's received his master's in administration from Endicott College. He's been an educator for the last 17 years, and yes, he is a member of Omega Psi Phi Fraternity Incorporated. He is currently a administrator at Duggan Academy, and he's also from Spring Forward, where he went to school at Psi Tech. And I have to admit, he is a friend. So absolutely.
So now we have the pleasure of bringing up Ezekiel Nagasi. Ezekiel is a junior at Avalon High School. His mentor is Brother Henry Austin. His parent is Pastor Iota Enigma, and his career goal is chemical engineering, extracurricular activities. He plays volleyball year-round. He's an honor roll student while maintaining a job and sports. Ezekiel.
Good afternoon. All right. Over the last 3 years, the world has changed drastically. And as it continues to change, today's youth has to change with it. Now, raise your hand if COVID affected you. Now look around. Almost everyone. It affected everyone differently. Some lost their family, some lost their friends, others got it themselves, and some were even hospitalized from it. I remember the Thanksgiving of 2020, my aunt and cousins live in New York, the heart of COVID, basically. Everyone has it. Everyone wears masks. They can't walk without a mask. We had to deliver food at a neutral location and say our highs and byes, basically a wave. Then, Thanksgiving Day, we had to eat over Zoom. We had a 20-minute Zoom call, and then we ate our food and talked with our immediate family. Then after, we were on a phone call and talked about how the food was. It was immaculate, by the way. And that was it. We didn't see each other for the rest of the year. Now, close your eyes. Imagine you're in your house, same room as 3 siblings. You all have a computer open, and you all have overlapping noise. Open your eyes. Would you be able to focus on that? Because I know I wouldn't. Every day, basically, I fell asleep in a certain class because I was up late doing homework, trying to recover from that overlapping noise and focus and study. That was hard for me because my grades started to slip. I was not becoming that honor roll student that I was. I was not becoming that model student that I was supposed to be. And my mental health started to slip. I didn't know what to do. I was lost. I was finding myself, but I didn't find myself. It was a narrow, straight path that I had lost. The light had turned to darkness. Now, studies show that the pandemic left children 4 to 5 months behind where they should be. I have a little brother. He was in kindergarten at the time. And he didn't fully learn how to read till he was in 2nd grade, which was last year. During the 2020-2021 school year, in-person instruction went from 40% to 98% by the end of the school year. I remember this was my freshman year. We had split up the students in half. So half the alphabet went on certain days and the other half went on the other half. So it was a good thing, but a bad thing, because the good thing was you got to meet new people, talk to new people, and make new friends. But the bad thing was you didn't get to see your old friends and talk to the old people . This had affected me mentally because now I'm making new friends and not talking to the old ones. Now I'm thinking about memories that I can only share with myself because no one else will remember it. This was hard. Standardized testing results from pre-pandemic and students in 2021 were compared. The students in 2021 lost 10 points in mathematics and 9 points in ELA. That is shocking. Usually it's a 1 or 2 point difference in year to year, but 10 and 9 points. When I looked at that, I said, wow, because I imagine myself in those shoes, losing 10 points and 9 points. That was crazy. I could not believe it. Now, after hearing those statistics, I personally think that the level of education has gone down because at my school, we don't do midterms. We don't do finals. But before, we did. And as much as students hate tests, midterms and finals are good. They test us, you know, they see what our brain remembered and see what we go through. I remember my 9th grade year, we had science MCAS. A bunch of us had went in and a bunch of us had opted out. But that year was the lowest year I got on MCAS ever. I passed by 1 point because I had science for half a year and others had it for a full year. So, knowing this, I leave you with this question. Do you think that COVID changed the youth of America for better or for worse? Thank you.
Thank you. All righty, our last contestant, or our fifth contestant, is Ryan Boba. Ryan's a senior at Amherst Regional High School. His mentors are Brother Wesley Day Senior. And his mother, Priscilla,
One boy, yeah.
Thank you. All right. His career goals are attending college to study marketing and fashion design. And his extracurricular activities are playing and running back outside, a linebacker football team, and a point guard for the basketball team. All right, you ready?
Yes, I am.
All right.
Good afternoon, everyone. I hope everyone is having a pleasant day. I would like to start by asking you a few questions. If you choose not to participate visually, you may do so internally. First question, raise your hand if you notice a change in your frequency of outside activity. Okay. Now, raise your hand if you notice a change in your family dynamics. And finally, raise your hand if you experience a new development of mental illness either during or after the pandemic. Oh, wow. At first, I had this whole speech written about COVID's impact to socialization, and then decided to change it on Thursday. Because after reviewing it, I didn't really feel like that speech could help you grasp the real effects that COVID had on us teenagers. So instead of telling you about social impacts, I want to tell you about how COVID impacted me. For starters, I've always been a nomad. I've never been able to stay in one place for a long period of time, so you can only imagine that staying inside the house was too much for me, and it really put a strain on my family's relationship. My mother and I were constantly arguing, and it made me want to leave the house. Oh wait, I can't leave. We're in a pandemic. Being around her became too much for me. So you know what I'm gonna go do? I want to sleep in a car. Yeah. You ever heard of somebody who wants to leave the house and leave his family so badly that he preferred to sleep in a car? We argued over everything, and it always led to explicit statements, and it made me feel like the love that she had for me was decreasing. But my mother wouldn't argue with just me. She argued with my sisters too, and worst of all, she argued with my stepdad every day. Growing up, I've always been used to them arguing. But since I transferred from Brockton to Amherst for high school, I wasn't exposed to it as much. Since I was back home, I was exposed to it more, and I was around it more 24/7. And it also rubbed off me and affected my relationship with my now ex-girlfriend. We would argue so much that it got to a point where we could not communicate without it ending in argument. And that was because of two reasons. One, COVID brought me back to my original toxic household. And two, the anger that COVID created was still lingering. Then, I lost all ties with the man who created me. Throughout my life, he was involved on and off, but when he was involved was mostly because my mother forced him to be. During the pandemic, to escape being around my mother, I went to go stay with my father, thinking that it was a smart move to try to build a relationship and build a better connection. Turned out to be the worst decision I ever made. He was drinking more than usual, and he thought he was doing better because he had stopped drinking the hard liquor and started drinking wine. But the wine made him act up. It was the night that he drank Josh that he turned into a psycho and kicked me and my older sister out the house to sleep in the apartment hallway until he sobered up and eventually came to get us. We stopped talking to him, and later in that year, he used that same old tactic of trying to offer us gifts to compensate for the damage that he has done. And I strongly believe that if it wasn't for the pandemic, maybe me and my father would have had a better connection and a better relationship. Although he was inconsistent, he was still my father. But I feel like COVID socially disconnected himself from my mother, my older sister, and me for good. And since he disowned us, we blocked him. And it's been almost 2 years since I last spoke to him. And I really believe that because we were all socially distant, it made it easier for him not to make an attempt to come back into our lives. Did you know that in the first year of the pandemic, there was a raging approximately 13,000 suicide attempts, 33,000 suicide deaths, and a 25% increase in the amount of people who gained anxiety and/or depression worldwide. And I'll tell you that COVID was what exposed me to depression. During the pandemic was the first time I ever attempted to take my own life. What started off as a joke didn't end off as one. I also started starving myself to cope with the emotional stress. And I lost so much weight that my jawline started to show, which isn't a bad thing because I got a lot of compliments on it. But the point is that COVID was able to make a kid who could eat consistently only able to eat one meal or maybe not even a meal a day. And the craziest part is, a few months before the pandemic started, I was telling my old friends in middle school that I don't understand how people, especially young teenagers, are getting depressed. Well, I spoke too soon, because not long after that, I was on the other side of that statement, ready to end everything. But I learned that the life given to you is one for you to preserve, cherish, and not take for granted. The ability to be happy was controlled by me and not controlled by the love or lack of that my father had given me. I also learned that I didn't need him to be a respectable young man, even though it always felt like there was still a piece missing. And I can also say that life, since returning back to normal, my depression has decreased. But yeah, I still get those phases where I still feel depressed, but it never turned anything extreme. And as for my family, my father is out the picture. He's no longer in my life. But during the 2022 New Year's, me and my mother were able to resolve our issues. And now I not only see her as a mother, but I see her as my best friend. And our family has never been closer than ever. The negative impacts that COVID left on me was brutal. But it also helped me to mature and understand that life comes with complications that we may not be able to handle or we might not be prepared for. Not saying I want it back though. Definitely not. And I can't handle that again. And I know I'm not alone when I say that. I could not handle COVID. I've decided to leave 2020 in 2020 and do everything I can to better my life and better my happiness. And so far it's been working. So if you were affected in a similar way, this is me telling you to acknowledge that the pandemic happened, but to throw it as far as possible, because only you can control your destiny, and only you can get those better days that you're seeking. Thank you for listening to my story. I hope it inspires you to live your best life and also to know that you can overcome any hardship that life throws at you. COVID, depression, anxiety, or stress cannot and will not define us. Thank you.
Can we just stand up and give these young men a love? I am honored and touched to have been asked to sit in and help and whatever advice that was given to you. You guys are ready to take on the world. You're the next generation that we can see moving and propelling us forward. So I want you to always hold that. Nothing can stop you. Only you can stop you. You learned how to speak, and you learned how to speak eloquently. You learned how to speak your mind. So stand on your truths. Don't let nobody talk you down. Stand up. And with that, I will turn it over to the brothers in the color.
Can we have another round of applause for these time? I think I speak for a lot of us in this room, young brothers. We're so proud of y'all. We really are. I'm over here gleaming. I'm Brother Marcus McCullough, and because I'm the chaplain and the pastor in the chapel, they asked me to raise the offering. Praise the Lord. Amen. Amen. Say amen. That's the best part of the program. Listen, hasn't this been wonderful? Yes, it is. Yes. Don't we want to see this continue? Yes, there we go. Don't we want to see this happen next year? Yes, there we go. Call and response. That's how we do it. Well, listen, we want to give all of us an opportunity really to support this work, support this project, support the next generation of young men to be a part of this competition. And so please understand that it is now time to make a donation, particularly to, the name is on the front of the program, the Levy Revels Scholarship and Mentorship Foundation. That is, by the way, the 501c3 nonprofit arm of Theta, Iota, Lambda that focuses on scholarship and mentorship, and that really puts on this program today. And so we don't have a particular amount that we are asking you to donate, but you know what you are available, what you have available to donate. You know how you feel in your heart about what is taking place here today. And so we would just certainly encourage you, however you can, however you feel led, support this work. Support this project so we can keep it going. If you happen to be not like me and you enjoy writing checks, you may make those payable to the Levy Revels Foundation. And also we have Cash App, $ Springfield APA. That is our chapter Cash App. But please, if you do use Cash App, put in the comments that this is for our scholarship fund and as a result of our oratorical contest, so that we can do our accounting job, amen, the finance ministry, say amen, and we'll make sure that the funds go to the right place. Our brothers will come and serve you with baskets as well. Thank you for supporting this. All right.
He's attacking every day, but I'm watching while I pray. No matter the attack, I won't turn back. This means war. This means war. This means war. This means war. I plead the blood. I plead the blood. I plead the blood. I plead the blood. This means war. This means war. This means war. This means war. Say you can't have my family. You can't have my increase. I say you can't have my breakthrough. Say you can't have my, you can't have my, you can't. I plead the blood. I plead the blood. I plead the blood. I plead the blood. This means war. This means war. This means war. This means war.
Wow, I didn't know she had a voice like that. But now you guys know too. So next on, so as our judges are in the back, faithfully calculating all of the scores, going back and forth, just so you know, we have actually two sets of judges. Well, we have a set of calculators back there that are tutors, and they're just going back and forth trying to figure this out. And next we have, I think it's Brother Washington. Brother Washington. Brother Denzel Washington? Yes, sir. Not that Denzel. He's a better version. D. All right, Brother Washington, so you got some gifts for us? Is that what that is? Yes. All right, go for it.
So we would like to take this time to thank the judges. In all honesty, without them, this wouldn't be possible to come in, short notice for some, to jump in, substitute others. So as our token of appreciation, we wanted to give all of our judges gifts. So that's what we're going to do at this time.
Guys are looking a little tense right now. Looking a little tense. A little nervous. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. This is going to be a good time, And again, all you guys are winners in our eyes. We are absolutely pleased. I can tell you again, after doing this for the last 12 years, our contestants do amazing afterwards. This catapults them to greater and new heights. So first place is first place, but you guys are all winners in our hearts. So just so you know that. And as actually said, you guys didn't hear that. We're not just here for this event. We're not just here just to help you get up here and do orientation and then leave. We're connected forever. So if you guys need us, if you guys have a question, you need somebody just to lean on, you just need somebody to talk to, we are here. We are here permanently as part of your lives. So I know for a moment, can I get all the brothers to stand real quick? All the brothers to stand. All the brothers out, please stand. Please stand. I want you to take a minute. These are the men that will surround you. Whatever you need, we're here. We will put it together, we will make it happen. So I want you to make sure you're looking at each and every one of them. Because when we say we're committed, we truly mean we are committed and connected to you guys for the rest of your life. So please feel free at any point to reach out, because we're always here. Thank you. James, Brother Lightfoot, President Lightfoot, President Lightfoot, come on up.
Good afternoon. I am fortunately not the last voice you get to hear, so I'm not going to say who won. The intensity, you have to be patient. I'm here as the president of the Revels Scholarship and Mentoring Foundation. First of all, just to give you a huge thank you for coming out this afternoon. This is a rare day in New England for November. You could have been anywhere else. We are very thankful that you felt it important that you be here with us this afternoon. So huge thanks to each of you. I want to give thanks to those who supported this prior to the contributions that were just taken up. And so if you look on the back of your program, you'll see a list of our sponsors. And our sponsors came in various ways. One line through financial gifts, financial donations, time, some gifts or other resources that we're able to support our young men with their activities today and over the past few weeks. There are some that are not mentioned here, and there are many since this has been printed that have contributed. And so I'd be remiss if I did not mention some of those that gave abundantly, and even those who gave enough to say, I was there, I supported this program. I don't have those mentioned by name, but there are a few that I do need to mention this afternoon. Excuse me. One of those being the Henry Morris Foundation, who gave to help really support what our young men hopefully will see in scholarship funds upon us finding out which one of them placed. The Allie Butler Charitable Gift Fund, the Boulay Foundation, and our own brother Byron Bullock, all the way from, I'm going to say it wrong, he's in Africa, on the continent of Africa, and he still sees fit to give and be a part of this great organization and to support this program. So huge thanks to all of our sponsors, and I will be out of your way shortly so we can find out who won. I know we're going to get, sick of going, we're going to hear a lot of claps, but we're about to provide them with some tokens of our appreciation for them taking up the time for the past 2 months plus to prepare for this day. So we have some gifts that have been provided by many of our sponsors, and also tokens that we provide to all our contestants. So I would ask our 5 competitors, orators, you all can charge your fee now for speaking. I would ask that you come and join me up front here. So I won't detail everything that is in the bag because there's some big things and there's some smaller things, but our chair will share one very important thing that he felt the need that these young men have as a part of their kind of takeaway this afternoon. And I'll make sure these get distributed.
So the gifts that everyone is receiving, well, our contestants are receiving, within them, there's a book. And in that book, the name of that book is called The Alchemist. Okay? The Alchemist goes on a journey, and he doesn't know quite where he's at. And he ends up on a crossroad. And these gentlemen are standing before you on a journey of life. And eventually, they're going to end up in a crossroad. But what we're trying to do, what we're all trying to do as a community, is make sure that we're supporting these gentlemen. So when they meet that crossroad in life, that they're more than prepared. So the committee, me, really, I made it like this here. We decided that the book for this year would be The Alchemist. And in order to support the community, Ms. Johnson, can you just stand up? We were sure that we bought the books from Olive Tree Books and Voices. Gentlemen, we will be starting our book club soon, so read that book. Thank you.
We're not done. We're finished. So each of you gets a medallion to acknowledge your participation in this wonderful activity. Start with the dream team of orators here. All right, excellent. Good job. Pull out. Again, huge round of applause for these gentlemen. Now for the moment we've been waiting for.
Alrighty. I know you guys are excited. I know you're waiting. As this has happened for many, many years, I will simply say, again, fantastic job, gentlemen, and you are all winners in our eyes. We're talking about scores that are the difference between 4 and 5 points. It always works out. All right, so we'll start off with our third place winner. Our third place winner, I wish I had a drummer so I could drum roll. All right, third place is
Monty Naylor.
fantastic. Good job, Monty. Our first and our second place winner are literally only 4 points apart. 4. For second place, we have, drum roll,
Miles Jeffries.
corrected here. Our first place winner for the 12th annual.
12th annual.
Revels Scholarship. First place is
Ryan Ola.
Don't know, unfortunately, this becomes not only a competition between you guys, but a competition with their mentors. So we heard a couple of their mentors over there yelling, giving each other high fives, and so on and so forth. And brother, who was your name? Brother Davis.
Brother Davies?
Brother Davis. Oh, God. It's a long, long time. He's shaking the hands of Brother Arthur Cash, who actually had his winner, I believe 4 years in a row? 4 years in a row. I think I'll be with him. Yeah. All right. So, again, we know everybody wants to run up and take pictures and so on and so forth. We only ask that you give us a few minutes. Stop.
Brother Lee is shaking his
Brother
head
Lee,
no.
Brother Lee, we'll get. Second place, third place?
Yeah, why not? Yeah.
You didn't. Oh, second. Our second place winner, we want to bring up his mentor, right? And I'm actually going to take a minute, a moment to actually bring up his dad. Come on now. As a new member of Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity, we're absolutely and again, we're going to take a number of pictures, so on and so forth. We're going to have food in the back. Feel free, Michael, Brother Akers, are we going right to the back? Are they going to the back? Or we still got some hold up? And again, we've got a number of brothers that have been instrumental there in the back. Brother Akers is in the back. Brother Strawford II back there. We've got Brother Lee in Lightfoot in Washington. Brother Leslie, Brother Braxton. We've got all the good brothers out here that have done a lot of work. I want to absolutely appreciate them. Brother Casey, Brother Casey Davis. Brother, which one was your? Oh, go on up there, go on up. Come on, get some pictures. This is a picture time. And again, any other brothers want to get a picture before we move on? Okay, come on.
So all the other members come up?
Yeah, can we just get all the mentors up? To bring all the mentors up. You're absolutely right. All the mentors. Please come on up. We'll be here all night. Oh, man.
Amber's in the house.
Amherst is always in our house.
That's right.
If you're ready to close this out, I'm ready to, because you keep them away from the back. All right.
Judge's photo.
Judge's photo? Judges, please, you guys did a fantastic job. Thank you.
I'm hanging out on myself. So I was told that I'm standing in between food and people. I will hold you no longer, but before we go, I have to say thank you to the judges, to the audience, to the brothers of the chapter, and most importantly, the gentleman standing before us. As you can see, they put a lot of hard work into this. A lot of preparation, a lot of frustration, a lot of laughter together, and a lot of phone calls and asking, where are you? We're starting. But in my speech at the beginning, I stated that I can't wait for you all to witness what they have to bring. Resilient was one of the words that was used to describe them. And they stepped up to every goal that could possibly have been given to them. So gentlemen, I am super proud of you. Congratulations. And pretty soon we meet. Congratulations.
All right, apparently I am now the space between you and food. We actually have a special guest that we wanted to acknowledge as well. Again, this oratorical contest has gone on for many, many years. And we have one of our former contestants, Brother Kids, please, you want to share when you actually participated, what year was?
I did that in 2009.
2000. You did a voice there? All right, 2009. All right. And what's going to happen to assistant?
After that, I went to Holy Cross. Then I lived in Germany for 7 years. And then after that, now I came back to Springfield, and I am a 9th grade English teacher at Bay State Academy.
And again, at this moment, we're going to bless the food. Minister.
We will yield to the shepherd of this house.
We will yield to the minister.
So if you all bow with me. Father God, we thank you for this just wonderful and beautiful day, Lord God. We're thankful for your children that you stood with, Lord God, that you propped up and you carried through this experience, Lord. Right now, as we prepare to just partake in a fellowship meal, Lord, we ask that you just allow it to strengthen and increase our bodies, Lord. Strengthen our wills so that we can continue to move on. And Father God, we ask all of these things in your Son's holy name. Amen. Amen.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I apologize for my tardiness. I just did 100 miles an hour from Worcester to make it here with you guys today. One thing I want to say is we're grateful for all the parents, administrators, contributors to this wonderful program, right? These young men right here are our future. So the Brothers of Alpha at Springfield, we're committed to investing in their future, just like all of you guys are. So once again, we're thankful for everything that you guys have done and given us in order to keep moving this program forward. And we hope to continue doing this program for many, many more years to come. Sorry, I forgot to introduce myself. My name is Jason Asrifi. I am the current chapter president of the Theta Iota Lambda chapter here in Springfield. And we are recommitting here today to continue doing the program for the Springfield community, for the Western Mass community, so that we can better move forward all our people all together in this post-COVID world. Thank you.